Hi everyone, hopefully you've followed the instructions and you've been through the Talk for Writing activity again. The reason I wanted you to go through the Talk for Writing activity was because I wanted you to remember the main things that happen in the story. Because today we're going to be making a story map. Now we have made story maps before at school, but it was a little while ago. A story map is where we draw a picture to go with each part of the story. And then when we come to write our story, we can use our story map to help us work out what to write. For example, we might write one sentence for each picture that we do. So today we're going to do a story map for our new stories based on the line inside. And we're going to make a story map for our new characters. In my story map, there are going to be 6 sections, but if you want, you could do more sections than that, or if you're not feeling too confident, you could do fewer sections than that. So to start off, I'm just going to go through my story map with you. Now, my small character was the bee, and my big character was a rhino, and hopefully you remember from last time what your small character and big characters were. So I'm going to talk you through my story map. So at the beginning of my story, I've got my bee living under the craggy rock and feeling sad because he's being ignored and people are stomping on him. So that's the first picture. And when I come to write my story, this picture is going to remind me of what I need to put first. Then I'm going to draw a nice big arrow to the next part of my story map. So the next thing that happens in my story is that my big character, the rhino, is very impressive. He is big, he is strong, and he stomps a lot. He's very different from the character of the bee. So the first 2 parts of my story map are me talking about my small character and my big character. And then I've got another nice big red arrow to show that we're moving to the next part of the story. The next thing that happens is that all the other animals are very impressed with the rhino. They ignore the bee, but they're very impressed with the rhino. And then I've got a nice big squiggly arrow to take me down to the next part of my story map. So the next thing that happens is that my bee character wants to find out how to stomp like the rhino. So the bee heads off to go up to the top of the craggy rock and meet the rhino. Do you remember what happens next? That's right, my small character, the bee, is very surprised to find that the rhino is terrified of bees. Look how frightened that rhino looks, and look how shocked bee looks. And then the end of my story is that the bee isn't frightened of the rhino anymore. The bee has learned to be brave in his own way, and the bee and the rhino become the best of friends. So hopefully this has helped you to remember what a story map is and how we can make a story map. It's not too tricky really, and your sections of your story are going to be very similar to mine, but with different characters. So let's have a look. So what I've done here is I've made a template for your story map. So I've got rid of the pictures of my characters because your characters might be different from my characters. And now we're going to go through the story map and remind ourselves of what we need to include in our story. So in the first picture, we're meeting the small character. We're finding out that the small character is sad and maybe why the small character is sad. In the next picture, we're meeting the big character, whatever you've chosen for your big character. It might be an elephant, it might be a zebra, it might be a rhino as well. And we're finding out what the big character is like. We know the big character is going to be impressive. The third part of our story is going to stay the same. exactly the same. All the other animals are very impressed with the big character. Now in part 4 of our story map, our small character, it might be a mouse. Well, it's not going to be a mouse because that's in the original story. It might be a guinea pig, it might be a hedgehog, it might be a bird, it might be a bee like mine, is going to set off up to the top of the craggy rock to ask the big character for help. Then in part 5, the small character and the big character meet, and the small character is surprised to find that the big character is frightened of them. Then we're going to the last box where our small character and our big character become the best of friends, and our small character isn't frightened anymore of the big character. So I'm going to post a copy of this story map with the blank gaps in it. And if you like, if you've got a printer or if you can draw on a tablet, you can use this and you can just draw in your characters into the boxes and make those changes. Or you can get a piece of paper and you can draw the whole story map and just look at this and use it to help you. Now you might want to make your story map much longer, or you might want to make it a little bit shorter, but I think 6 boxes is a nice start for us. Remember, if you need any help, you can send a message to your teacher. I am really looking forward to seeing your amazing story maps.